Evening, YouTube. Parson Rick here again. Been a while, sorry. Or not, you know. And smoking my Dagner P4 Devil Anse that my son bought me a little while ago for my birthday. In it, I'm smoking some Rat Rays, Black Mallory, recommended by Tony Colomb and some others. And my youngest daughter's name is Mallory, so how could I not buy it? This is the first smoke I've had of it. Pretty nice. It's in English, for those of you who don't already know that. And first couple puffs, I was like, I don't know. But no, it's nice. Probably, 5 minutes into it. I opened the can and let it sit a couple days. It was pretty moist. Out here sitting poolside. Last couple of summers, wife's got these little wading pools for me to come and dip my feet in after a hot day. That sure seems to do the trick. I can technically lay down in it most of the way and cool off. I get pretty hot. Just had last weekend was my 40th high school reunion, and a little trepidatious going into it. You never really know. High school was a long time ago. It was really pleasant, really laid back. 20, 30 of us showed up. We only had 100 in our graduating class, so that's a pretty good turnout. And as usual, it's the people who live far away are the ones that showed up. The ones that were missing were folks that still live here for the most part. Can't figure that out. But generally, folks that have gone away have had pretty interesting lives, and if you just stay here, you don't think your life is interesting, I guess. A little different angle. Where I usually sit, the sun's still on it, and I didn't feel like sitting in the sun. Oh, what I kind of wanted to talk about was at the reunion. I saw a lot of. I didn't go to my 30th. I helped set it up, but the day it was, we were in Detroit, so I didn't get to go, and they had a big turnout that year. So most of the people I haven't seen for at least 20 years. A vast majority. And what's been interesting is Facebook. A lot of the people that came are on the Facebook group. So we'd already kind of answered those questions of what are you doing these days and how many kids you got and all that stuff. So it was kind of like just continuing those conversations face to face. It was pretty interesting. I thought I had a good time. My wife had a good time. It seemed like everybody did. We had a couple of kids who'd started out with us in first grade and then got booted up a year. And they came, and then it's such a small school. We had people from other classes. Like two of the kids in my class had married two girls in another class, so they had their own little reunion. I'm gesturing with my hands if you can't quite see it. I've got the tripod balanced on the back of a lawn chair, and it's not very sturdy. Let's try something. That better? A little more framed. Anyway, it's still a little moist. I've had a bit of a problem keeping it all lit. Yeah, very pleasant. Kind of like English is. I'm starting to, it's been uh, almost a year, almost a year since I started smoking, and started out with Captain Black, and uh, I've tried quite a bit of stuff. Generally, if you guys recommend something and I see it, I'll go for it. I like vapors. Um, I like some of the Englishes. Still like aromatics. I'm not sophisticated. Haven't really found anything I haven't liked. I found if I don't care for it, try it later in a different pipe, and that generally takes care of it. If it's just almost unsalvageable, throw it in a cob. I keep like 5 or 10 cobs just sitting there in a bucket, brand new ones. Mm, tasty, very, very much in English, I think. Anyway, so we had the reunion, and uh, in 1984, I had a real bad motorcycle wreck and no helmet. Had a very bad concussion for several weeks. Very bad, dizzy. I missed a whole, I missed a whole earthquake because I was reeling so much that I didn't know we were having a six. And I was at work, and this guy started yelling at me to quit shaking his scaffolding. I'm not even in close to you. And I looked there, and we were in a gym, and the scoreboard was slamming off the wall, and I'm totally oblivious. I went and laid down. But anyway, so as a result of that, I've lost a pretty good portion of my memories before 1983, which of course includes my school times. And like I said, I went to a real small school, and of the 100 of us that graduated, 57 of us were what they called homesteaders. We were all 12 years at the same school with the same kids, and of course you got to know each other pretty well. And uh, and I told them, I said, I don't really remember a lot of things or people. And so it was fun. They had a a good time telling me stories about myself. Maybe they were true, maybe they weren't. Didn't really matter. But it was kind of neat because I've always felt that, you know, I that there's a lot of things missing in my experience. One of the guys that came, I have almost no memory of interaction with him. I did recognize him, which a lot of the guys I didn't recognize. And he got there pretty late. He'd flown his personal plane down, and just happened to find out that it was the same night. Anyway, he was talking to my wife and I. He was telling about all these adventures that he and I had and how he hung around with me all the time. And really, I have no memory at all. He even went down. He was talking about an event that I would have remembered. It was when this guy, I was getting out of the car, and this guy came running up and just sucker punched me. And you'd think you'd remember that. I mean, he didn't knock me out or anything, just knocked my glasses off, basically. Not a clue. Not a clue. Uh, and that was happening a fair bit. One girl was talking about how I remember that we always used to dance together in elementary school. We did square dancing, and I loved it. I even did it in college and stuff. And my great uncle was a square dance caller, and I always thought that was just a lot of fun. And she talked about how much she liked dancing with me because I was a big kid. I was always up until about eighth grade. I was like the second biggest boy in our class, and she liked dancing with me because I'd pick her up and spin her around and round and round because she was tiny and still is. And I thought, oh, that's cool. That was a good memory I wish I had. I remembered that, you know, something about something, and then when she brought it up, like usual, since I have a sketchy memory, when people do bring things up, a lot of times it primes the pump, and I'll get started, and I can remember after that. And another guy was talking about an entire camping trip, and it was the only camping trip that I went on with these 4 other guys ever. And he was talking about this like 3-day trip that we went, and we did all these things, and absolutely clueless. Absolutely clueless. Yeah, I'm whistling. The pack isn't quite right. But it was a lot of fun. So, and I came away with a few more stories about myself. Well, they're not memories, they're stories. Help flesh out my youth a little bit. I do have the advantage of, since I can't remember, I can just make it up. But and one guy came up and he did remember something. I had punctured my lung on a trip up the North Sister, and he was with me on that trip, so he was fleshing out some details and interesting. So I'm glad I went. If you're old and you're like me, it doesn't hurt to have another view of your life. another opinion about your growing up years, I guess. Most of the people I grew up with, I never see or hear from, and I'm always a little, just like I said, sketchy on my past, and sad sometimes. But it was a lot of fun remembering. So, if you're like me and you got a reunion coming up, go. I wasn't some big popular kid or anything, but there was enough people there that recognized my smile. they several people said, "Oh, I didn't recognize you till you smiled," because I was, of course, an athlete, and there was a lot less of me. I did have a beard most of high school, but not nearly this color or size. So, go get somebody else's version of your life going. Just wanted to check in. I'm liking the rat race. So, good night. God bless. Parson Rick out.